If you've ever told yourself, I'll stop at midnight just to watch the clock turn 12:01 and you continue scrolling, it's likely you're suffering from social media addiction. As was I when someone who I looked up to suggested to me that I take a 7-day detox. What I thought was going to be only a break turned out to be one of the most eye-opening experiments of my entire life. Click off now if you're not ready to face that voice inside of your head encouraging your addiction, saying, oh, social media is not that bad. I just look at cleaning videos and exercises and studying hacks on my TikTok feed. This video is not going to help you. Lesson 1. I scroll to escape my anxious thoughts. Deleting social media revealed the root cause of my laziness, which is really a fear of failure. Laziness is choosing comfort over growth, but anxiety is a paralyzing fear. When I learned about dopamine detox, I was at a point where I believed that I was a lazy person. Over time, I realized I actually do have a desire to grow and learn and work hard, and I discovered that I wasn't quote unquote lazy, I was just paralyzed by my fear of not being enough. And I would have never come to this realization had I not deleted my social media and confronted my emotions head on. Taking action is the only cure for anxiety. It breaks the cycle of overthinking by stopping it in its tracks and making a decision to take an action. Replace consuming with creating. Take action by moving, building, and teaching. The second lesson I learned is that social media leads to subconscious comparison. In caveman times, comparison was crucial from a reproductive standpoint. A woman who had access to more resources, more support, more wealth, would have a much higher likelihood of surviving and reproducing. Without comparison, we have no desire to grow and to achieve and to push beyond our limits. It is an innate desire that we compare ourselves. So instead of trying to turn this emotion off, stop comparing, instead we should change who we compare ourselves to. Because right now, if you're scrolling on Instagram and TikTok, you are seeing the best of the best. You are seeing the highlight reel of everyone's lives, and you're not seeing the people who choose not to post. Maybe their lives are not very good and then they don't want to put it out there into the world, but even people who are fucking amazing human beings doing everything most people want to do, they are not showing the hard work that goes into it, the negative emotions that come with such success. And on top of that, most of the things you see online are not even real, especially now with AI. Like, for example, I was going on Pinterest and saving houses that I wanted to live in, and for a minute I actually didn't even realize, I know this is stupid, but come on, you probably fell for it too and you don't even know it, okay? But I didn't even realize the dream houses that I was saving were actually created by AI for a little bit, until one time I was looking at this house on Pinterest that I saved that had a slide, and the slide like disconnected and the water on the slide was like floating, and it hit me like, oh shit, this is AI. What am I doing? I was saving all these houses that I wanted to one day live in or build for myself, and they weren't even real. They didn't even exist in real life, which, not to say that I can't go out and create it for myself, but it's just an example of a time where I thought that something was actually in our reality on planet Earth, and turns out a robot designed it and tricked me. But even without AI, women on Instagram, on Pinterest, on whatever, are editing the way that they look, even in videos. Yes, even in videos, and you are not fucking noticing. Don't act like, oh, well, I can tell when it's edited, blah, blah. No, you can't, girl. You think you can, but you're only seeing the ones that are obvious. The ones that fly under your radar are the ones that get into your subconscious. So then you start to believe that you are not enough because you are comparing yourself to things that don't actually exist in real life. So by deleting social media, you take your comparison group and you turn it back into realistic achievements. And the more that you look at these photos and videos and look at these people's lives, the more you think less of yourself. Like, oh, why don't I have that? And you think people are just so much better than you that you end up accidentally belittling yourself, and then you don't end up going for things that are hard because they're just too overwhelming. You don't want to go for the new job that pays more because you believe that you are stupid because everyone else around you in your comparison group that is fake online is doing so much more, so much faster, so much better than you. And so you believe that you can't do hard things, and that is not the reality. So what you need to do is turn off your phone and go start looking at people's real lives. Look at other women's bodies when you go to the gym. They're not perfect, and no one is in reality. Lesson 3, you consume people's content because you want to be more like them. But those people don't consume content. I'm just gonna leave that one at that. Lesson 4, watching the news doesn't make you a better person. When I was younger, I used to constantly consume all the media on TikTok and Facebook and the news sources that I thought were legit. And because of that, I started to freak out about the world, and then I would go to everyone around me and be like, oh my God, did you hear what this politician did? Did you hear about this horrible phenomenon that's happening on the other side of the world? Oh my God, what are we gonna do about it? We have to do something about this. We have to do something about this. And I would go and I would spread all this anxious energy to myself and to everyone around me, and that didn't do anything. I wasn't actually helping anyone. I was actually making people's lives worse by doing that because I was just creating an anxious environment instead of actually taking action and going out into the real world and doing something to help myself, my community, my family, my friends, my city, or whatever. But I promise you that looking at the news, reposting stories on your Instagram of, oh, these people are dying, this injustice, you do that because you want to feel better about yourself by pretending like you care. And I'm sure you do care. I did care. I do care that people are dying. Of course I do. I'm a fucking human being. But thoughts and prayers don't do anything, as you know. And you're probably someone who thinks that as well. Like, oh, I hate when the politicians just say, oh, thoughts and prayers, that doesn't do shit. Yeah, well, you're not doing shit either by just thinking about something or telling the people around you because they're also not doing shit. Spreading awareness, that can be helpful, of course, but is that actually making big difference in the world? Probably not. Let's just be honest here. Probably not. And so ask yourself this: what would actually change myself, my family, my friends, my community, my whole town, my whole state, my whole country? I live in America, obviously. And then maybe we can go to the whole world, but we obviously got to start small here, babe. So for me, what it took for me to stop was to realize that the true power is in having money. With money, you can do things like buy people houses. So like for me, I live in Los Angeles and there's a huge homelessness crisis. And so for a while I was freaking out about that. And of course there's a route I can take by doing things in my community, but I came to the realization that the fastest way I could possibly make a change in the community was to have more fucking money, because then I could just buy the people the houses. Like, the end, and that would create the most change. Giving homeless people houses is obviously the best solution to the homelessness crisis, and in order to give homeless people houses, you have to have money. And guess what people who have money do? They go in the world and they fucking work. They don't sit and scroll on social media. They don't scroll, period. They don't consume content of any kind. Maybe they read books, yes, but they don't go on their phones all fucking day. They get out in the world and they work for the money. Lesson 5 is don't quit cold turkey. When I first did my 7-day detox, I kept Pinterest and YouTube, and those have always been my staples. You have to be careful with those. Of course, YouTube has so much junk content and also has YouTube Shorts now, which at the time, I started this a long time ago. It was like, I was like 19, I'm 23 now. At the time that YouTube didn't have shorts, and I would pay real fucking good money to go back to those days when YouTube did not have shorts, because oh my god, they get me sometimes. But at the time when YouTube didn't have shorts, consuming long form educational content like the one you're watching right now, where it's just someone talking about something beneficial to you, not this hyper edited and like useless information, you know, like avoid shorts and short content of all kinds. And Pinterest, you have to be careful as well, because you can end up comparing yourself like I previously talked about. So try to just save like objects and goal oriented photos, or like maybe even style would be okay, because thrifting is a thing and it's not that expensive and it's fun to express yourself. I would so much rather you go thrifting and organize your closet and try on different outfits and put little bows and you do your hair different, all that stuff, than sit there and scroll on social media. You will be a much happier person, even if that is still superficial. But if you just go from like being a full-on addict as I was to just like no phone at all, you might make it out, because I actually didn't do too bad with this. I still kind of went cold turkey. I deleted Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. Those are the 3 major social medias that we really want to get off of. Those are the worst for your mental health, and those are the ones that hijack your reward system, your dopamine, and are just highly addictive. Pinterest, you can only scroll on for so long before you start to get bored. There's no interactive, there's no relation to gambling, as Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat have tons of gambling-like aspects to them. So if you can go cold turkey on those 3, I would highly recommend doing that. If you are at a place in your life where you're strong enough to do that, please, I promise you, after literally just 7 days, you will feel so much better, to the point where you don't want to get it back anyways. And ask yourself this: if you think you're not addicted, then go 7 days without it. Like, if you're not addicted, of course you could go 7 days. That's literally nothing. Like, you can post on Instagram and then wait 7 days. Also, you can use social media on your laptop, so you don't even have to really delete it, but just like take it off your phone. You know, there are ways around this, but really start to dive deep and ask yourself how social media is actually harming your brain, because it's very likely that it is. But try to find alternatives. So instead of just going cold turkey, like, oh, I'm only gonna use my phone 1 hour a day, my screen time is gonna be 1 hour a day, when previously it was literally 10 hours, and you're like, oh, it's just gonna be 1 hour, it's fine, like I have control over this. Like, no the fuck you don't. You are not in control, and that's the whole reason you're watching this video. And so try, instead of going cold turkey, to find alternatives like doing Duolingo or listening to podcasts. Podcasts are a great one, where you can still escape, you can still use your phone, but at least at the bare minimum, you're consuming information that might help you in life instead of drag you down. If you want to learn more about social media addiction, I highly recommend watching the YouTube Netflix documentary called why did I call it YouTube? Watching the Netflix documentary called The Social Dilemma. I think it's still on Netflix, but that was something else I watched at the very beginning of my journey that literally blew my fucking mind. I don't know, something about that documentary, because it's the people that created the apps that are shitting on it and saying like, yeah, I would never let my kid use that ever. Like, tea. But anyways, I love you guys so much. Try to get out in nature and do a little exercise and talk to people and your family and friends, and I love you. Mwah.